All right, everybody, strap in, because we are diving headfirst back into the whirlwind that we all know as student loan forgiveness.
Buckle up.
And we always say knowledge is power, so
Absolutely.
we're handing you a whole lot of power today, especially if you're one of the millions, kind of, like hanging on by your fingernails waiting for updates on this whole thing.
Yeah.
So just a super quick recap for anyone new to the party, President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan. It's been facing, well, let's just say it's had a few hurdles thrown its way, right? And we're here to break down the newest obstacle in this saga. And luckily, we have our amazing legal expert back with us to, walk us through this, right? Help us try to understand the ins and outs and maybe even uncover a silver lining or two along the way.
Hopefully we can find some, yeah.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Okay, so enough with the suspense. Hit us with it. What is the big news? Fill us in. What's this newest ruling?
Well, okay, so remember that lawsuit, the one that was filed by a bunch of states?
Oh, yeah.
The one that was trying to, totally stop the program, the one everyone was freaking out about?
It was kind of hard to miss that one. Everyone was talking about it.
Yeah, exactly. So a federal judge just dismissed it, completely threw it out. And this was a big deal. I mean, a major roadblock that was standing in the way of the Biden administration and, them actually being able to put their plan into action, the plan to forgive billions of dollars in student loan debt.
Okay, so that's big. That's huge. But before we break out the confetti and party poppers, can you walk us through why the judge made this decision? What was their reasoning, their thinking?
So this whole lawsuit, it all started in Georgia. And basically, the judge said that Georgia just couldn't prove that they'd be seriously hurt by this program.
Interesting.
They couldn't show that it would really damage their budget or, the economy of Georgia, at least not in a way that would justify taking away that relief for literally millions of people.
So it's not just about, whether the program is, quote, good, unquote, or, quote, bad, unquote. It's about whether the people actually suing are the ones being, truly harmed by it.
Exactly.
That's a really important distinction.
It is. It is. And this wasn't just a win for Biden and his administration, but it really shows that their argument, their legal basis for creating this program is actually pretty sound.
Okay, yeah, that's got to be a huge weight off the shoulders of a lot of people who've been, following this whole saga. But let's be real, this program, it's been a little confusing for some people.
It has.
There's been a lot of back and forth. Who qualifies? How much relief will people get? That kind of thing. So can you give us a refresher? Who are the borrowers that are actually in line for this potential forgiveness?
Of course. Think of it this way. The program is basically designed to target two main groups. So first, you have the people who are really, truly struggling to pay back their loans. We're talking people who've been doing the right thing, making their payments, sometimes for years, decades even. But their balances haven't really budged much because the interest rates are so high.
Oh, tell me about it. I feel like dealing with student loan interest rates is like trying to outrun a cheetah on a treadmill.
Yeah, it's like you're running in place.
You're not getting anywhere.
You're not getting anywhere, exactly. And this program, it's trying to acknowledge that, right? It wants to give those people some breathing room. The second group is, those who might have been, a little misled. People who signed up for career programs, maybe got their degree, but those programs ended up, let's just say, not being as financially rewarding as they were led to believe.
Yeah, so now they're stuck with mountains of debt for a degree that didn't really deliver on those big promises.
Yeah.
Oof, that's got to be so frustrating.
Beyond. And within those two big groups, you can break it down even more borrowers who owe way more than they originally borrowed because of all that interest we talked about.
Mm-hmm. Interest.
Right. And long-term payers, so people who've been making payments for 20, 25 years. Then there are the folks who went to those low-value programs we talked about. And then even people who were already eligible for some kind of forgiveness but haven't been able to, navigate the system. And let's be honest, the application process can be ridiculously complicated.
It's like trying to read ancient hieroglyphs sometimes. I mean, really.
You're speaking my language.
Right.
But, okay, the good news is this program, it's supposed to simplify things, right? And make it easier for those folks to get some relief, too. Okay,
so we're talking potentially millions of people here. Mm-hmm. Do we have any, hard numbers on how big of an impact this could have?
Get ready, because the numbers are, they're mind-blowing. We're talking potentially 27.6 million borrowers who might actually see some relief with, get this, a total of $73 billion in student loan debt forgiven.
$73 billion. That's not like walking around money. That is life-changing for some families.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And that brings us to, another really important and, well, kind of controversial part of this whole thing, the controversy.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real for a sec. It feels like student loan forgiveness is like the ultimate conversation starter these days. Everybody's got an opinion, and they definitely aren't afraid to share it.
Totally. It's like a political hot potato.
Oh, for sure. And there are definitely good points on, like, all sides of this, which, is why we're here, to dig into those arguments.
Exactly.
Help you listening out there cut through all the noise.
Right.
So let's start with the supporters. The people who are like, yes, 100% behind this forgiveness plan. What's their main argument? Why do they feel like this is such a big deal?
So at its core, the argument for wiping out this debt comes down to, well, the idea that how things are right now, it's just not working. Like, the system is holding people back.
Okay, so it's bigger than, like, just the money itself.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the impact that debt has on every other part of someone's life.
Exactly. Supporters are saying that all this debt, it's stopping people, especially younger generations, from really getting ahead.
Makes sense.
They can't buy a house, start a business, sometimes even just putting money aside for a rainy day, it feels impossible. And it's not just a social thing either. We're talking about the economics of it all too. There are economists out there who say that this giant pile of student loan debt out there, it's actually putting the brakes on the entire economy.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there's a big economic argument here too.
Yeah. But what about the flip side? The people who aren't so hot on this forgiveness idea, what are their concerns?
Well, you hear the fairness argument a lot.
Yeah.
Is it really fair to help out these folks who chose to take out loans for school when other people made different choices, right? Like, they didn't go to college, and now it feels like they're stuck helping to pay off someone else's debt.
Right. It's that whole idea of personal responsibility versus, society stepping in to help. It's tricky.
For sure. And then that ties into another worry, what happens to the economy if we forgive all this debt.
Right.
Some economists are worried about inflation, that if suddenly people have a bunch more cash, demand goes up, and then boom, prices go through the roof.
It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah. Trying to help people out without accidentally causing a whole bunch of unintended consequences.
You've got it. And then there's another argument that comes up a lot, the idea of something called moral hazard.
Ooh. Moral hazard.
Okay, now we're getting into the fancy terms. For those of us who don't have, economics degrees, break it down. What does that even mean?
So moral hazard, it's basically like if people think, even just a little bit, hey, I might get bailed out of this debt later, they might be more likely to take on even more debt.
Right.
Because maybe they figure they won't actually be on the hook for it all.
Interesting. So it's that question of, if you helped someone out of a tough spot, are they more likely to end up back in that same spot? Or will other people see that and make riskier choices because they figure, hey, someone will bail me out too?
Exactly.
It's a tough one. It really is, and it shows just how complicated all this is. There's no simple solution, and there are good points on every side.
Totally. And, we always say that here. We're not here to tell you what to think.
Nope.
We're just here to lay out the arguments, all the complexities, so you can make up your own mind about this stuff.
Informed citizens, that's what it's all about.
100%. So bringing it back to this ruling, this is obviously a big win for the Biden administration, right? And for everyone who's hoping to get some relief.
Yeah.
But you mentioned earlier this whole legal battle, it might not be over.
Unfortunately not, no.
So there are still some legal challenges out there that could throw a wrench in things.
It's true.
What about that case we talked about before that got moved to Missouri?
Oh, right.
What's going on with that? Why are they trying to block the program?
That one's interesting. Their argument basically hinges on whether Missouri will lose money because of all this.
Interesting.
They're saying that the program would hurt this big student loan company, a servicer that's based in Missouri, and that would mean less money for the state.
So it's not even necessarily about political differences or the overall economy. It's literally about money.
Exactly. Direct impact on the state's budget.
Wow. And this case is still going on.
It is. Yeah. We're kind of just waiting to see what happens.
This whole Missouri thing, it just makes you think,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about billions of dollars here, millions of borrowers, even entire states saying, whoa, wait a minute, we're going to feel this. This whole issue, it's way bigger than just do these loans get forgiven or not? It's about so much more, the state of education, how we think about money, personal finance, what role the government should play in all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does make you think. This whole thing, it's like someone took a giant spotlight
Yeah.
and shined it on all these like really big questions.
Right.
The kind of questions we all have to think about as a country, you know?
Totally.
Like, how did we even get here? How did so many people end up drowning in student loan debt just for trying to get an education?
It really makes your head spin when you actually stop and think about it.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean for those people? For the choices they can make, what opportunities they have or don't have? It's like those ripple effects we were talking about before, right?
100%. This goes so much deeper than just the money, right? This is about the promise of education, about people trying to build a better life, the whole idea of like everyone having a fair shot.
Yeah.
These are big, important topics, but they're at the core of what everyone's arguing about.
Totally.
All
It's
right.
like this one issue, student loan forgiveness, it's like cracked open this whole Pandora's box of questions about education, how we handle money as a country, the government. It's a lot.
It is. And let's be real. There's no easy answers to this stuff.
Mhm.
It's messy, it's complicated, but those tough conversations,
Yeah.
those are the conversations that really make a difference.
So true. So for our listeners who might be feeling a little like information overload, because we've covered a lot of ground here,
Yeah.
what's the big takeaway? What's the thing you really want them to remember after this deep dive?
I think the most important thing is don't check out, right?
Yeah.
Stay informed. Keep asking the tough questions because it impacts all of us, whether you have student loans or not.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening who might be directly impacted by this, keep your eyes peeled for any updates from like the Department of Education. Be ready when the time comes to apply if you think you qualify.
Knowledge is power, after all. The more you know about all of this, how it works, the potential problems, the better you'll be to navigate it.
Could have said it better myself. Well, on that note, the note of being empowered and informed, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a ton today. I mean, legal battles, economic arguments. We even got kind of philosophical about education and fairness and opportunity in this country.
It's been a journey.
It has. But hey, that's what we're here for, to take these complicated issues, break them down, make them digestible, and hopefully leave you with some new knowledge and, who knows, maybe even a few more questions to chew on.
And a reason to come back for more.
Exactly. Because let's be real, the world is, well, it's complicated. It's ever-changing.
Yeah.
And we're all just out here trying to figure it out as we go. So until next time, keep asking those tough questions, keep diving deeper. We'll catch you on the flip side for another deep dive.